You cannot escape from death.
It is no secret that Bandai Namco has been absolutely struggling over the past couple of years. They've released so many great games, but also they released so many games that had so many issues. Some of them was dead on arrival, some of them had a lot of hype going into it, but then when players found bugs, glitches, unbalance, they started to feel sick to their stomachs and abandoned the game. It's been ups and it's been downs. And in this video, we have to talk about the next wave of downs that Bandai Namco is facing. Now, this video is by no means a way of like making fun of Bandai Namco, talking trash about Bandai Namco. I'm just looking at all of the financial reports and all of the different news articles that are being made about this company. And I just want to pose the question of how do they recover? Bandai Namco is one of the biggest gaming companies on the planet. In Japan specifically, the only companies that's bigger than Bandai Namco is Nintendo and Sony, and those are the ones who make the consoles. This is a massive company we're talking about, and for them to be struggling so hard, it kind of speaks to the trend that the gaming industry is facing as a whole. Bandai Namco Online in a state of insolvency due to 8.2 billion yen loss and a negative net income. Each line you're seeing here represents a year, and for the most recent years, 2023 and 2024, they have huge losses. We will see if this trend continues in 2025 or if they could get their act together, because over the course of 2024 things got even worse. Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash, this was a game that a lot of people had high hopes in. As of February 14th 2024, the game had no players on Steam. It was considered a dead game. You then had the highly anticipated Blue Protocol be completely scrapped. It did an early release in Japan and then it was received horribly. Bandai Namco, they took some time to try to figure it out, but they couldn't. They just scrapped the whole thing. They put out the statement and that game is canned now. They invested so much money into that game. There was rumors saying that it was supposed to be their competitor to Genshin Impact. A lot of people say that no, it's not true. It wasn't supposed to be anything like Genshin Impact, but it just speaks to what this game was supposed to be and how it never lived up to that. Blue Protocol falls significantly below expectations. On February 15th, Bandai Namco stock fell to a new low. Well, their financial statement is out and something isn't looking too good. You can see it circled in red, the 3.5%. What this means is everything is great, but except the digital profits. It fell by 96.5% compared to last year. After this 96% drop, Bandai Namco canceled 5 games and says it's going to plan stricter quality control. They went on record and said, in addition, since the second half of the previous fiscal year, we have changed our development structure, setting stricter standards for proceeding with development, narrowing down titles, and changing the method of recording development expenses. Associated technical expenses were higher than expected at the beginning of the year. At this time, they said that the demand for the video games was just at an all-time low. So a lot of the different games that they were putting out, there was no player base for it. So they were going to focus on making the games that they release be great ones, be meaningful ones. Less is more was their strategy going forward. As time went on, Tekken 8 sales slowed down. Street Fighter 6, they went from 3 million, 4 million to 4.4 million. Meanwhile, Mortal Kombat already sold over 5 million copies. Tekken 8 is still struggling to hit that 3 million mark. I think they'll do so eventually with the release of Season 2 and some great characters, some great updates, some great improvements to the game. But currently as it stands, they just have not hit the 3 million threshold. Another Bandai Namco fighting game, which is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, they did hit 3 million copies sold in 24 hours as a matter of fact. But then they also went on to sell 5 million copies. Now, here's the thing. Dragon Ball Sparking, it's a lot like Tekken 8. They share a lot of the same issues. Now, Tekken 8 has a diehard audience and can survive a lot of the criticism, but Sparking Zero, which has a more casual audience, could not. This game lost 90% of its player base in 4 weeks. Now, at this time is when we started to get the real bad news. This is when Bandai Namco was trying to cancel more games, but also force those employees to quit. Japanese law is a little bit different from America and EU and other countries, where those companies in those countries will be able to just lay off those employees, and you'll see a headline saying 500 employees laid off from Microsoft or whatever the case may be. Bandai Namco and other Japanese companies can't do that. Their labor laws is very strict. And as a result, when they want to let people go, they have to basically force them to quit. You have this headline: Bandai Namco pressures 200 employees to quit with expulsion rooms after canceling a Nintendo game and other projects. In these rooms, workers are given no assignment, but understand their lack of productivity can be used as grounds to cut severance pay. Effectively, they are designed to get employees to leave voluntarily without breaching Japan's strict labor laws. In a statement, Bandai Namco has denied it's making use of, I'm not going to try to pronounce that word, commenting that some employees may need to wait a certain amount of time before they are assigned to their next project. So even though they're denying what these rooms are designed for, they are confirming that there are employees in these rooms with nothing to do. And these rooms are miserable. No windows, no phones, no nothing. You just sit there every day. Not only are you losing a lot of your benefits, but you could go crazy like that. Soon after, we have this headline where it confirms Bandai Namco cut ties with over 100 workers in Japan. The Japanese developer was previously alleged to have tried forcing employees at its Tokyo office to voluntarily resign. Bandai Namco's website shows 1,294 employees as of April 1st, 2024. The JSP page shows 1,177 employees, meaning that 117 people have left between then and now. So the strategy of forcing the developers is working. It's a slow process, but it is working. And as the games continue to flop and get shut down, they will continue this strategy. Bandai Namco Gundam Evolution to shut down in November. The late November shutdown for Gundam Evolution coincides with its year 1 anniversary on console. A couple of days ago, on February 5th, Bandai Namco released their third quarter results presentation for 2024 to 2025, ending in March. Here you can say they achieved record high results, far exceeding last year's performance. They attribute this to the digital business, which is home console games, favorable results for downloaded content, and repeat sales for the main title, Elden Ring. Elden Ring is carrying so hard. Massive success of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, selling over 5 million units. So even though it's lost 90% of its player base, they're still looking at the sales and saying this is beautiful. They also talk about the repeat sales volume for all titles, which totals 22.54 million units. The DL ratio to full package is 65%. Also attributing to a lot of their profits is the toys and hobby business. You have IP production units and you have amusement units. And this kind of speaks to how big of a company Bandai Namco is. We think of them as just video games, which that makes up a lot of what they do, but they expanded into so many different markets. But as for video games specifically, we could see the titles that's carrying. What I found strange was throughout this entire document, there is no mention of Tekken 8. They talked about the games up here, Elden Ring and whatnot, that does great, but they does not mention Tekken 8. Now, I think that Tekken 8, it's obvious that the game slowed down. We can look at it on a graph in terms of how it's doing in comparison to the other games, but then also we could talk about how the game was like, it had a very chaotic year 1, very chaotic. We all know what the game went through. We don't have to talk about it. But this season 2 is a big moment for them. A lot of games don't get this second opportunity to turn it around and make a huge comeback. The last 2 years for Bandai Namco has been pretty bad. And as a result, they are canceling so many games, and all of those developers is either being relocated to other projects or they're being put into purgatory to hopefully leave the company one day. Tekken 8, I don't want to see this happen for them, but they are the only ones in charge of their future.